You know what's interesting? When a man finally realizes what he lost, it doesn't happen overnight. It hits him slowly, like waves. At first, he thinks he's fine. He thinks he can replace you, move on, stay busy. But then something starts to change. And these 5 things always happen one by one. It's not the big moments that haunt him, it's the small ones. The way you laughed when he tried to be serious. The way you used to say, "Text me when you get home." The sound of your voice when you were half asleep. He doesn't just remember, he replays them. And suddenly, ordinary moments become memories he can't escape. He realizes the peace he felt around you wasn't ordinary, it was love. At first, when a man loses you, he tells himself he's fine, he distracts himself, goes out with friends, fills his days with noise, and convinces himself that moving on will be easy. But time has a quiet way of pulling memories back to the surface, especially the small ones he never realized mattered so much. He doesn't start by remembering your anniversary or your big trips together. No, it's the ordinary things that suddenly feel extraordinary now that they're gone. It's the way you said his name when you were teasing him, the sound of your laugh when he said something silly, the look in your eyes when you were proud of him, even for something small. Those moments replay like tiny echoes in his mind, not loud enough to stop him, but powerful enough to follow him everywhere. Maybe he's standing in line at a coffee shop and hears someone order your favorite drink. Maybe he sees a movie you once loved, or a song you used to hum in the car comes on the radio. And just like that, you're there again, not in front of him, but in his thoughts, reminding him of what he once had and didn't appreciate enough. He remembers how effortless it felt to be around you, how you could fill a room just by being yourself. No drama, no performance, just quiet presence. And he realizes something he never paid attention to when he had you. Those little things, the tiny habits, the casual jokes, they weren't random. They were the texture of love, because when a relationship ends, we think the pain comes from the big arguments or the breakup moment itself. But for him, the pain comes later when he notices the absence of all those little details that used to make up his world. No more good morning messages, no more soft reminders to eat before a meeting, no one asking, "Did you make it home safe?" It's in the quiet where the loss finally becomes real. At first, he might brush it off. He'll tell himself it's just nostalgia, that it's normal to miss someone, but deep down he knows it's different. It's not just missing someone, it's missing you. The way you cared without asking for anything back, the comfort you brought without words, the patience you had when he pulled away. And what's powerful is that these memories don't just make him miss you, they make him see you differently. He starts to realize that the love he took for granted wasn't ordinary, that the little things you did weren't small at all. They were love expressed in 1,000 unspoken ways. He begins to understand that affection isn't about grand gestures, it's about consistency. It's about those gentle, everyday moments that build trust and warmth. And now, every time he remembers one of those moments, there's a quiet ache, because he knows he can't go back and relive them. He starts to wonder what you're doing now. If someone else gets to hear that laugh, if someone else gets those same soft, be careful messages before he leaves home, and that thought, it stings deeper than anything else. Because regret doesn't hit like a thunderstorm, it creeps in like a familiar scent, like a song you forgot you loved until it plays again. And every little memory becomes a reminder of how much peace, warmth, and safety he lost. In the end, it's not the big memories that make him wish he had tried harder. It's the little ones, the ones he thought didn't matter at all, because now he finally understands the little things were actually everything. 2, he starts comparing everyone to you. He goes out, he dates, he meets someone new, maybe even someone beautiful, but every time there's this silent comparison. Her laugh isn't quite the same. Her energy doesn't make him feel safe the way you did. He finds himself saying, "She's nice," but that but becomes a ghost, your ghost following him into every conversation, every dinner, every text. He starts realizing that the connection he had with you wasn't something he could just replace. When a man loses you, he usually believes deep down that he can find someone just like you. It's his way of protecting his pride, of pretending the loss isn't real. He tells himself, "I'll meet someone better, someone easier," but what he doesn't understand is that connection doesn't work like shopping. You can replace company, but you can't replace chemistry. So he starts dating again. At first, it's exciting, a fresh start, a new face, a distraction from the emptiness. He meets women who make him laugh, who look good on paper, who seem uncomplicated. But after every conversation, every dinner, every text, something feels missing. He can't name it at first, but it's you. He remembers the way you listened when he spoke, how you didn't just hear him, you understood him, how you noticed things others overlooked. His moods, his silence, the way his eyes gave him away before his words did. Now, when he's with someone new, the surface feels nice, but the depth is gone. He laughs, but it doesn't land the same. He talks, but he doesn't feel heard. He realizes that not every woman has the patience to love someone in his messy, complicated moments, but you did. He might deny it for a while. He'll tell himself he just needs time to connect again. But that quiet comparison starts sneaking into everything. He notices her perfume doesn't smell like you, her energy doesn't calm him like yours did, her texts don't have that warmth, even the way she says goodnight feels different, colder, less familiar, and that's when it hits him. He's not comparing her because she's not enough, he's comparing her because you were rare. The truth is, when a man truly felt seen and loved by a woman, her presence leaves a mark. It's not dramatic, it's subtle, almost invisible, but it changes the way he experiences other women forever. He starts realizing that attraction alone isn't connection, that chemistry without emotional safety is just noise, that beauty without understanding feels empty. So he starts pulling back. He might ghost someone new, he might lose interest without knowing why, and everyone around him assumes he just hasn't met the right one. But deep down, he knows what's wrong. He already did. And what hurts the most is that the bar you set wasn't built on perfection, it was built on authenticity. You didn't try to be anyone else, you didn't chase him, you didn't beg to be chosen, you just showed up with love, care and strength, and that combination is unforgettable. So now every time he meets someone new, he looks for you in them, he looks for your laugh, your kindness, your calm. But no one can replicate that because your love had its own fingerprint. And no matter how hard he tries, every comparison leads him back to the same realization. He didn't just lose a woman, he lost the woman who saw him at his core and still stayed. That's when the regret deepens, because he begins to understand that what he called moving on was really just running away from accountability, from the truth that he let something real slip through his fingers. He'll scroll through old photos sometimes just to remind himself of what that feeling looked like. He'll catch himself smiling at a memory and then the smile fades because he remembers it's gone. And no matter who he meets next, there's always that quiet voice in the back of his mind whispering she's great, but she's not her. He feels the weight of his ego. In the beginning, his pride tells him he made the right choice, but ego doesn't keep you warm at night. Ego doesn't ask how your day was, and ego doesn't love you back. So now he sits with that silence, the one he created, and realizes that being right cost him something real. He feels the emptiness he once mistook for freedom. And that's when regret begins to whisper. You pushed away someone who truly cared. At the beginning, his ego is his armor. When you walk away, he tells himself he's fine. He convinces himself that he was right, that he made the best choice. He might even act cold, distant, maybe even indifferent. But that calmness, it's not peace, it's pride wearing a mask. You see, the male ego has a strange way of protecting the heart by pretending it doesn't feel. He'll tell himself, I don't need her. He'll post photos that make him look like he's thriving. He'll laugh louder around friends, flirt more boldly, work later hours, all to prove one silent point, that losing you didn't hurt. But nights have a way of stripping that illusion away. When the noise quiets and no one's watching, that armor starts to crack, because the truth he's been running from begins to whisper. And that whisper says, you pushed away someone who loved you. That's the moment when his ego stops feeling powerful and starts feeling heavy. Every ignored text, every moment he chose distance over honesty comes back like a replay of his mistake. He starts seeing how much of what he did wasn't strength, it was fear. Fear of being vulnerable, fear of needing someone, fear of admitting that maybe he was the one who needed to change. He starts realizing that pride doesn't hold you when you're tired. Pride doesn't listen when you've had a hard day. Pride doesn't kiss your forehead or tell you you're doing great. Ego can give you control, but it can't give you love. And that's the trade he made without even noticing it. He begins to feel the weight of his silence. The words he never said, "I'm sorry, I miss you, I was wrong," they start to echo in his mind. Because the truth is, men often regret the things they didn't say far more than the ones they did. And now every quiet moment feels heavier because it's filled with everything he never allowed himself to feel. He might even start to justify it to himself. He'll say, "We wouldn't have worked anyway," or "She deserved better." But deep down, he knows that's not the full story, because if he truly believed that, he wouldn't still think about you. He wouldn't still feel that ache when your name comes up. He wouldn't still check your profile, not to see if you miss him, but to see if you've healed without him. And when he sees that you have, when he sees that you're smiling again, that you've reclaimed your peace, that your energy has shifted from sadness to self-love, that's when his ego hurts the most, because his pride once told him that walking away meant winning, but now he realizes you were never something to win or lose, you were something to honor, and he failed to do that. The same ego that once made him feel strong now makes him feel small. It's heavy because it carries regret. It's heavy because he knows the apology he owes won't fix what he broke. And that's the thing about ego. It doesn't just block love from coming in, it blocks healing too. So he starts to feel that weight every time he thinks of you. Every time he sees something that reminds him of what he once had, he realizes that pride may have saved his image, but it cost him something real. And when that truth finally lands, it's not anger he feels, it's sadness. Because deep down, he knows if he had just let his guard down, if he had just been honest, if he had just chosen love over ego, he wouldn't be missing you now. He starts checking in indirectly. Maybe he won't message you right away. Maybe it starts with him watching your stories or asking your friends how you're doing. He's testing the waters, trying to see if you've moved on or if there's still a chance. But here's the truth. When a man regrets losing you, he becomes curious about your happiness because he's no longer part of it. He wonders, does she still think about me? But deep down, what he's really asking is, did I lose the only woman who truly saw me? When a man regrets losing you, his pride won't let him say it right away. He won't send a message that says, "I miss you." He won't call to admit, "I made a mistake." Instead, he'll start checking in indirect. It begins subtly. He might start viewing your stories again after weeks of silence. He might like an old photo of yours, one that has nothing to do with him. Or maybe he sends a random message pretending it's casual. "Hey, saw something today that reminded me of you." But what he's really saying is, "Are you still thinking about me too?" See, when a man feels regret but still battles with his ego, he doesn't reach out to reconnect. He reaches out to reassure himself. He wants to know that the door isn't completely closed, that maybe, just maybe, there's still a part of you that hasn't moved on, because the idea of you healing without him that terrifies him. He starts to circle around your world like a quiet observer. Maybe he comments on a mutual friend's post just so his name appears on your screen. Maybe he checks what time you're online and wonders who you're talking to. It's not about control, it's about curiosity mixed with pain. He's trying to understand if he still matters in a life he once felt so central to. And sometimes he'll even disguise his curiosity as kindness. He'll ask your friends how you're doing. He'll tell them, "I just want to make sure she's okay." But that's not the full truth, is it? Because if he truly only wanted to know you were okay, he wouldn't need to know if you're dating someone new. He wouldn't need to know if your glow looks happier now than it did with him. He wants to know if you've replaced him, or worse, outgrown him. Every time he sees you moving forward, something inside him tightens. You see, he used to be the first person you'd tell everything to. The good days, the bad days, the small wins. And now, watching from a distance, he realizes he's no longer part of your story. That realization doesn't just sting, it breaks him. So he starts searching for ways to feel connected again without exposing his vulnerability. Maybe he sends a funny meme just to see if you'll respond. Maybe he asks about something random, your favorite show, a place you used to go together. All small excuses for something big. He wants to feel that old spark again, the one that made him feel alive and understood. But here's what makes it complicated. He's not always ready to come back the right way. He wants your warmth, but not yet your truth. He wants your attention, but not yet your boundaries. He's checking in because regret makes people crave comfort before accountability. And here's where your strength shines most, because you don't owe him the same energy he once took for granted. You can acknowledge his presence, but you don't have to reopen the door. Let him see that the version of you he remembers no longer lives there, that you've evolved, that you've healed, that you no longer wait for half love to return, because that's when the real regret deepens for him, when he realizes you're not bitter, just done, when he sees that you've turned the pain he caused into power, when he understands that your silence isn't punishment, it's peace, and in that silence his mind becomes the loudest place in the world. He replays your conversations, he wonders what you'd say if he called, but most of all, he wonders if you'd still answer, and that question haunts him more than any breakup ever could. Hi, he realizes you're not waiting anymore, and this is the part that changes everything. Because when you stop waiting, when you heal, glow, and move forward, he feels it. He feels your absence like oxygen leaving a room. He sees that the woman who once poured love into him now pours that same energy into herself, and suddenly his regret turns into panic. He realizes that while he was busy figuring things out, you were becoming the woman he thought you'd always be waiting to be loved by. There comes a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when a man realizes the woman he once took for granted isn't waiting anymore. It doesn't happen when you post a new photo or when he hears you're dating someone else. It happens when your energy changes, when your presence, once filled with longing, becomes filled with peace. When the woman who used to text first stops needing to. At first, he doesn't notice. He thinks your silence is just a phase. He assumes that if he ever decides to come back, you'll still be there, still soft, still open, still forgiving. But over time, he starts to feel something shift in the air. You don't chase, you don't check his stories, you don't reach out on his birthday. You've stopped orbiting his world, and suddenly his world feels smaller. That's when reality hits him. The woman who once poured her heart into him has finally poured it back into herself. He sees it in the glow you carry now, the calm in your eyes, the way your laughter sounds lighter. You're not performing strength anymore, you are strength. You're not pretending to be over him, you genuinely are. And that truth cuts deeper than any argument ever could. He starts to remember the times you gave him second chances and third ones too, the times you stayed patient while he was distant, the times you loved him through his silence, believing he'd eventually meet you halfway. And now he realizes you did your part, you showed up, you gave, you tried. But eventually even the kindest heart gets tired of bleeding for someone who won't hold it gently. So now he watches from the sidelines as you build a life that doesn't include him. He might hear about your new routines, the morning walks, the friends you've grown closer to, the hobbies you once put on hold, and for the first time, he feels what you once felt being left behind. He'll scroll through your photos and sense that something's different. You look happier, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because you've finally found yourself again. And that's what stings the most, because while he was busy figuring out if he wanted you, you were figuring out how to love yourself. Now he feels the silence he once created. He feels it in every moment he wants to reach out but doesn't. He feels it in the way you no longer respond to his breadcrumbs, his "hey stranger" messages, his late night check-ins. He feels it in the way your absence isn't angry, it's peaceful. And that peace is the loudest goodbye you'll ever give. That's when regret stops being theoretical, it becomes real. Because he realizes you didn't leave to make him chase you, you left to protect your heart, and now that it's protected, he can't reach it anymore. He might even try one last time, a text, a call, a sudden "I miss you," but it lands differently now. Because the version of you who used to crave those words has evolved. You've outgrown the pain that once kept you hoping. You've learned that love shouldn't hurt to keep. And as he watches you move forward, radiant, healed, and whole, he finally understands the truth he refused to face. You were never waiting to be chosen. You were waiting to remember your own worth. And now that you have, he's the one left waiting. So if he regrets losing you, don't rush back to prove your worth. He already knows it now more than ever. Let him sit with that realization, because the moment you stopped chasing his attention, you became unforgettable. If this message touched your heart today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with another woman who needs this reminder. You're not the one who got away, you're the one he'll never replace.